Xander Zayas may be that guy. He might be the guy that's going to carry the Puerto Rican flag for Top Rank. Because as a promotional company, they have a long history of having an incredibly popular Puerto Rican fighter. They put him in Madison Square Garden on the weekend of the Puerto Rican Day Parade, and man, it is through the roof. And for a while, it looked like it was going to be Edgar Berlanga, right? He was the one who was going to carry in that tradition. Felix Trinidad, Miguel Cotto, Edgar Berlanga, we were going to see these guys. That's not the case anymore. Top Rank looks like they turned their eyes to Xander Zayas, and with the performances that he's putting on and with the popularity that he has, he may be the guy. Because let's be honest with each other. There's a lot of people out there that you can build up their records, 13-0, 15-0, 20-0, whatever the case may be, flashy hand speed, big knockout power. They're in there and they're making everything look good. But they don't really have the skill, right? They don't really have what it takes. And they get exposed. All of a sudden, we'll see them in there against some journeyman with 4 losses. And it's an incredibly tough out. Or they end up getting their first loss. And everybody's kind of scratching their head and wondering what happened. And it was that guy was just being promotionally built up. He was just kind of being packaged and put in front of people with the right competition to make it look as though he was better than he really was. And as soon as he stepped in there against somebody who was gritty, who was tough, who actually knew how to fight, all of a sudden it was like a house of cards and it all comes crumbling down. But that's not what we're seeing from Xander, right? That's not what we're seeing at all. Last time out, we see him against a former world champion in Patrick Teixeira, and he looks good in that fight. It isn't the superstar flashy type of performance that we wanted. You know, Teixeira has this way of making things tough and awkward and everything. He lost 1 round on all of the judges' scorecards. You got 30 rounds, right? 3 judges scoring 10 rounds each, 30 rounds. The man won 29 of them. Really good performance for Xander Zayas. Now we see him, we step in here tonight against another guy in Sosa who's he's tough, he's awkward, throws 85 punches around. Just a spoiler, the type of guy who is there to make you look bad. The type of guy who's really there to push you and test you and see if you have what it takes. Dude went out there and dominated. Xander Zayas went out there and dominated the fight. Complete shutout on the judges' scorecards. They say he throws 85 punches around. He didn't throw anywhere near 85 punches around because of what Zayas was doing. You know, like most things that matter in life, it's not just about what you do, it's about how you do it. Xander went out here and did this tonight at a high level. Right for the beginning of this fight, first 2 rounds was characterized by 2 things. 1, the jab. Xander Zayas went out there and completely dominated the pace of the fight with the jab. And he also executed his ring generalship at an incredibly high level. Just kept the fight in the middle of the ring. He never looked flustered, never looked like he had to move too fast. He looked like he was in complete control with everything he was doing, utilizing head movement, footwork, and just completely dominating the whole affair. And you're starting to wonder, is it going to be this easy for him the whole fight? Is he just going to go out there and make it look like this is just a glorified sparring session, so to speak? 3rd round, things start to pick up a little bit, and that's when we see him start to crank it up a little bit. The combination punching, the countering, the way he was finding all of these opportunities and the way that he was really able to marry his offense and his defense together, that's something where you see a lot of guys really start to stumble. They can do some good defense. They've got some really good offense, but they're only doing one at a time. And it takes them a second to transition between the two. But when you can make that seamless, when you can make the transition between offense and defense so smooth, that's when you're going to find beautiful opportunities to catch guys. Look at what he does here in the 3rd round. This sequence is something else. Both guys throw at the same time, but as Xander's shooting the right hand, he's moving to his left. This is what I call building defensive movements into your offense. It doesn't have to be a 1-2 beat. It's a 1. On that same beat that he's throwing that punch, he's getting his head off the center line, dipping to the side. Now that he's low, he's on the side. Perfect spot for a left hook to the body. And if that was all that he did, you'd be impressed. You'd say, very nicely done. But he takes it to the next level. He doubles up that left hook, takes it upstairs, and it's the second one that actually lands the most clean. A few seconds later, he's putting on the defensive movement, counter-punching, gets underneath this left hook, steps, slips the right hand, and counters with this beautiful left to the body. And then a few seconds after that, we see Xander throw the jab. Sosa tries to counter with the double jab. Xander slips the second one and then comes over the top with this beautiful counter right hand. I mean, this is great work from a young fighter. So he comes out here, dominates this fight. After the fight, in the post-fight interview, Mark Kriegel tries to push him a little bit, says, who do you want? He says, I'm going to wait and see who the promotional company puts in front of me. He says, no, tell me who you want. And he says, anyone in the top 5. Now, look, we know 154 pounds is stacked. Junior middleweight is no joke. We got guys like Terrence Crawford, Madrimov, Fundora, Spence, Tim Tszyu, guys that are coming up that look absolutely beastly like Charles Conwell. Virgil Ortiz Jr. There's all kinds of big names out there. All kinds of big names out there. Is Xander Zayas ready for those names? Is he ready for a title shot? I don't know, man. I don't know. You got a young guy like this, dude. His potential is so good, and he's looking so good, and he's progressing in all of his fights. If you were to throw him in there over his head right now, we would be confronted with a real big question. And the question is, how's he going to respond if he gets pushed to his absolute limit and gets a loss? There's some guys that they get pushed to that absolute limit, they get that loss, and they break. They're never quite the same. They're people that we refer to as never reaching their full potential. After a fight like that, you would sit back and you'd look and you'd say, what happened? Did he never have it? Was he never actually going to be that guy? Did we push him too soon? This comes up in more than just boxing. In the NFL, for example, they draft a young, super hot rookie quarterback. And the question is, do you throw him in there right away, even though the rest of the team is garbage and you're likely going to lose a massive amount of games and he's going to get sacked? Or do we wait a little bit, put him behind a veteran, and we let him come in the second year after he starts to see things a little bit better, right? And the concept is, if this guy's great, if he's going to be awesome, we can put him in there right away. Let him gain experience from the first year. Let him get going. He'll be fine. Other concept is, no, we want to let him get the speed of the game. We don't want it to impact his confidence. We don't want him to go out there and all of a sudden start getting crushed by these guys. He's not going to believe that he can perform at this high level. It's the same thing. It's all about this confidence and the mental outlook. If you throw him in there if he thinks that he's the man, and you all of a sudden throw him in there against a guy like Terrence Crawford, and I know we're not talking about that, but I'm just saying, you throw him in there against a guy like Terrence Crawford, and he just gets smashed. Does he come out from that fight and learn from it and look better? Is he defiant and stubborn in the fact that he said, I know that I'm the man. Maybe I thought I was today. Turns out I'm not. Somebody went out there and put it on me. All that's going to do is give me the opportunity to learn and become better, and I'm going to grow from it. Or is it the type of guy that looks and he says, man, I thought I was the man, and all of a sudden I realized there's levels to the game, and I'm never going to be that good. And at that point, his confidence, everything takes a hit. He's diminished, and he goes out there and he still looks really good in future fights, and he still does good things, but he's never that guy. We never talk about him potentially being that guy anymore. It's a tough one, man. It is tough. It is a touchy situation. You don't want to make the wrong choice in that sense if you're the guy's manager or as your promoter, whoever it may be. And here's the thing you got to remember. You don't have to do it right now. Xander Zayas is young. It looks like he's got big potential. Looks like I was mentioning earlier, he could be the Puerto Rican guy fighting for top rank on the weekend of the Puerto Rican Day Parade. Just huge, massive amounts of budge, massive paydays, all kinds of things going on. You don't have to push him yet and potentially put him in that situation where you don't know how he's going to respond, but he may not respond well. Look, I would say, continue to build him up, continue to push him out there, continue to allow him opportunities to develop his skill set. The man's not ready at 154 pounds, right? Because this thing is a shark tank and there's some beastie fighties out there. If this was a division that was a little bit cooler, or maybe some guys that used to be beasts had just moved out of it and the talent level wasn't quite as high, we could be talking about a world title shot. But that is not what I would be putting him in here now. No need for it. The man went out and looked great. Super smooth, great stuff from the young man. Let me know what you guys think. Where do you think he should be going after this fight? Who do you want to see him in there against in light of the fact that 154 is an absolute buzzsaw of division? Let me know what you guys think.